Mr. President, let me see if I can find a document that I made the other day. I'm just trying to look for it right here, but I don't know. I don't know what my computer is doing right now. This shit is crazy. I don't even know how to. Let me see if I press this. There you go. So, Pioneer Bank. Let me see if it's right here. Pioneer Bank is trying to do an evidentiary hearing. Don't read your document. When it's set to documentation like this, and have things at the edge right here with numbers, the very best thing you can do to trick a judge and hold a judge and test a judge if they read the documentation is call out something in a section and an area on the page. Like for instance, I will call out this right here. I would say, the notice that I gave you, Judge, in document 67671 on docket 17 on page 13. Didn't realize that I requested them to show me that they have a Genomate food trust and the custodian is this person. Did you recognize that, Judge? They asked him, what line is that? Right? And then they would tell you the line. If he cannot tell you that the line, and when you look at the page and see the line is totally different, they tell that he didn't read it on it. They're on here probably on the wrong document, but I think either one, he did not read the document or you don't have the document in front of you. Do you have the document in front of you? Yeah. Then I want the defendant to answer the allegation because because one thing when you are a defendant, you can make the other party become a defendant also by making a counter claim, or you can make a cross claim. A cross claim or a counter claim automatically turn the person into a defendant, and you become the plaintiff. What is the evidence that they brought to the court, the question that they asked, and the documentation that they bring as evidence? Like for instance, this that I'm asking right here. I have a documentation to prove that this exists. I have a documentation to prove that this exists. How do I prove that this exists? By going to the trust itself. So, I have a trust information documentation I'm going to show you guys. So when I do my research, I'm trying to show you when I'm doing my research, I do it all the way thoroughly to figure out how to be able to can access the remedy. You can't just bring nothing there to court. You always have to have evidence. So when I call out the trust, I have the sequence and the root of the trust to be able to show that there exists a trust and when the trust was created. So when I call it, I tell the judge about it. He now, the defendant, who has to come and he has to come because the evidence is there before his face. He has to come and answer that. It's the same with any tactic that you're using. It's not saying there with the federal rule 8. So you have to call out the rule, the federal rule 8 in transport. You have to call out the rule, show the rule, speak about the rule, bring forth the documentation if necessary to the court, and then present the court document to the court, and then after that, ask the defendant to ask him why did they believe that they could make a ruling on this, a ruling or a decision on this document. Welcome, and how did they get the authority to make a ruling on this document? You see, why? Because every claimant, whether it's a defendant or a claimant, the defendant must admission and denial.
The documentation I experience with these judges, lawyers, and prosecutors. I also be the prosecutor. I have a lady case that I'm working on. It's 156 felony charges. The prosecutor did not file his document properly, and I hit him with various documentation, and he's crumbling. Even the judge recognized the documentation that I submitted, and the question that I asked is on point. Again, I didn't ask the question really. The party that I actually trained to look for certain things and the documentation that I write and give to them, the question that was asked, it shambles their defense. It shambles their attack. It shambles their prosecuting. That's why anytime I do court cases, it takes 1 to 2 years for them to figure it out because all of them are thieves and they're working together. They can say all the fuck they want, but that's exactly the truth. They will delay as a motherfucker as much as they want because they can make money in that delay. A longer case is, the longer they can delay. But I tell you what, whenever they do a case, they must prosecute it within 8 months. If they do not give a jury trial within 8 months, they go beyond their jurisdiction. Now, let me show you a case here. That's way beyond its jurisdiction. Come on, don't do me like that. Don't do me like that. Don't do me like that. Do I have to restart this computer? I realize that each time I press a letter and a number, it brings something else. But let me just restart it. But any one of you guys who want to come up, you can come up and I'll take off my mic. But yeah, Derek, in the child support, the things that I give you, if they responded yet, the things that me work on, not really, but if they responded, let me know, because the response, inside of that response, there's going to be some evidence that you're going to be able to look over. Me and can go over it together, and I'll show you what those evidence are. And when I point those evidence out, those are what you're going to build your thesis, your question and your assertion around inside of that court. Once you build a question and assertion inside of that court, around those things, inside of the documentation we receive from them, then you dismantle their claim. That's what you want to do. You want to dismantle their claim. Once you
that's all going out over the next couple of days because I have till the 30th to file my production of documents and negative averments and all my discovery is the time for that. So
once we dismantle their claims, they have none. So you can now make your position and stand forth, because now either one, you make a dismissal, or two, you make a counterclaim, or three, you try to make the money off the goddamn case because they actually bring a fraudulent claim in there.
well, we're getting paid on this one, Bubba. We're getting paid.
Remedies always have to be given. Why remedy always have to be given? Because there's an injury there. Whether you're the defendant or the plaintiff, a remedy is done. What they would like to do, they would like to run a case as long as possible as they want. They will either get 4 or 5 or 6 arrests on there and have you post 6 or 7, 8 bond or bail bond, and then they use it because they run through a court system. But this is what organized crime, and it's also what they call sham legal process. When they don't have jurisdiction and don't have the right to do certain things, it's a sham legal process they owe to actually run it through it. Let me see if the computer starts working back again. If it does start working back, I'll be able to show you what I mean. That way you can have an idea what it is that you got to look for and how you can protect yourself. This is what to look for in a case. Do not be afraid to type up a case inside of the internet by going on the internet and look for things like case net. Case net normally come up where you can actually click on the area and then it takes you to a website where you can actually look for the name and person or yourself. Once you look for the person or yourself, even if you find another person that crimes or document on the document, do not trust your eyes. Because majority of the time, even if you trust your eyes, whatever you've seen on the court case, they are the one that's putting it there and taking away certain things and even put fraudulent things on there and make it seem like the things are there. So you don't trust your eyes some of the time with them against another person's case. You have to ask that person what's really going on with their case, because these people are criminals, many of them. So now here I am with this young man's case, right? And if you look at the case, this case is let me see which one of them I want to get. I want to get you have like 4 or 5 cases. It's not this one. It's not this one. Not this one. Not this one. Not this one. Let me just pick 100. But this one, these ones are let me pick 100 because this one 10. So I think no boom. Mexico, Texas. I think they do it in Africa. Here you go. I think this one is right here. Right, here's the state. So now I want you to pay attention to this case, guys. You go to the docket there, and let me zoom in so you guys can see it a little bit. Now, if you look right here, you have to refund his bond. Come to the reason why I'm teaching you basic structure, basic foundation. That's what you need to fight with them. You need to roll. That's what you need to put in the goddamn. It doesn't matter. Even the kitchen's sick. Because guess why? When they use those practices and their tactics, they themselves cannot go against their own laws. Let me show you why. You see, the statute at large is the main core of the play. Statute at large. Right? When you talk about the statute at large, it's considered to be the illegal evidence of the law. Now, what this means is statute at large is the primary source of what the content, the intention of each state and federal government has for their nation. Every single one of them have to abide by either statute at large or every single act in which the statute at large comes. When they make their legislation, it has to either go around with the statute at large or are granted by certain privilege in that state. So, the statute at large, why it's become the legal evidence of the laws, there's a key reason. The reason is they all incorporate themselves within the United States. Being that they incorporate themselves in the United States, they send out a thing they call representative, which they call Senate. The Senate is the representative of the state, and the Senate agreed to this for it to be enacted. Therefore, the state itself is binding to the statute at large. So when they try to use any treaty, any obligation that they have to find, the statute at large is the legal evidence to use against them. If you don't use the statute at large, they will try to go around you. The statute at large is what they call positive law. The positive law control all that is binding to it, every people that is subject to it. This is the reason why the Constitution said these words. Article 6, the United States Constitution and the laws of the United States, as well as the treaty thereof, is the supreme law. Cause why? Each and every fucking Senate tie themselves to it when they sign off and approve that fucking shit. This is not regular knowledge you're getting. Now you hear me speaking and according to as though God's will give you and desire. I'm not telling you this because I want to tell you this. This was designed for your guys to hear it so you can understand why do I feel so cocky when I talk, or why do I feel so bold when I talk? Because I actually know exactly what I'm saying. This is the reason tribal government to show that they can ride on the street with their fucking tag and they can go fuck themselves and stop talking about they can actually you have to use their tag. No, you can fall into their jurisdiction by you can fall in their jurisdiction by a various reasons, right? Let me show you why you can fall in their jurisdiction. I'm gonna show you in a minute, but let me bring up the tribal documentation to show you first. I think I sent it to Derek one of these times. Derek, you see it already, right? Tag, I show you the tag that they have to make. They have to make a decision on the tag. The decision on the tag itself express itself, and the laws express itself, and the statute laws express itself. Immediately, the woman said, in order to do justice, we dismiss this claim with prejudice. They dismiss it with prejudice, so now I can travel without using their goddamn tag. I put my own on it with my own nation seal, my nation banner, and just move around. That's the banner right there. They can go on, they can just go fuck themselves now. They can't stop me from moving back and forth because that's a bloodline descendant, and I'm a direct bloodline. And since we are a direct bloodline, then we have the right as a successor to create and legislate our own people. They don't have that right. Once you understand those basic functions, then you know how to get around their fucking bullshit. All right? So basic structure is why I always teach you guys basic structure, because it's harder to move. Every single man in life knows how to build, and you have to build on a foundation. And what is the foundation? This is the foundation. Once the law is made to this, then you can call it the fuck out. Prove to me that this is not legitimate document. They cannot. They claim or try to make decision immediately. 10 years fucking mud. And the moment I give it a documentation to show him what he needs to place on that fucking record, they support. So I tell him to give them a public notice. Give them his documentation. Look at that shit. You can go ahead and make a copy if you want, right? But when you understand the principle of law, you understand the principle of law. When they see this in the documentation, I guarantee you, they stop playing game with this man immediately. When that man signed that documentation, they have no lawful proceedings jurisdiction. They cannot prosecute him lawfully. They cannot. Now, if you understand the basic principle of nationhood, the basic the process, the state cannot go into another state and make a judgment over that state personnel. It's the same for sovereignty people. So when you're an Indian tribe, to place you inside of that tribunal that they have, your tribe would have to agree to that judgment. But if they did not agree to that judgment, you have a certain court in which you should go. This is the reason why personal jurisdiction is a key thing to understand when you're dealing with tribal nation, international law, and this man was a Moor. The Moor itself have a tribunal in which the United States court. They cannot go into no state court. They cannot go into no federal court. They cannot go into no Supreme Court. You only go to the. That's the agreement by all the nations in the state. I know it. I can show you it. I have proof of it. And this is why when I invoke certain things, they grant me what I need. But again, I'm just one man. So I have to teach you all what I necessarily know. And that's why it's necessary for when I come to life, I try to do certain things for you guys to see it. And that's why I try to teach you the basic fundamentals. Here you go. Let me show you what it is. Yeah. Now, it's on Wikipedia, really, but it's also into the statute law. It's the same statute law, just that right here. It's right here. The statute law is right here. It's no different. But I'm just showing the Wikipedia. As a matter of fact, let me get out of Wikipedia. I don't want to show you Wikipedia. Let me just show you this. I don't want to show you. I want to get to this goddamn statute. Because if I get to the statute, then you will see the statute, and then you don't have to worry about Wikipedia.
Welcome everybody to my live. We don't know big up on the server now dude. We don't know YouTube. YouTube on a two. Yeah man, slow over YouTube though, man. Tell her that. When it comes to views on YouTube, like live them slow and the people end up on the live. What you have to do? Yo, YouTube slow. Fuck. No, they're using the YouTube to this again. Yo. I guess I'll be a whole heap of money that's at that shit on YouTube. You can stop there to music already, bumbo.
Shit. I just always give it the praise of opening eyes and to understanding. He gave me this book called Gilbert Law of Summary. The book Gilbert Law of Summary, again, agency, partnership, and liability of company. That's what it's talking about. But under the agency liability of companies, it also falls under the principle of governmental business. Why? Because you don't understand what body politic is. Body politic operates in the same principle. When you look at this book at first glance, you might think, oh, well, it's too many pages, yada, yada, yada. But only few things to understand. And that's exactly what I did. I read only 5 pages. After I read the 5 pages, I comprehend. Why? Scope of agency. Once you understand purpose, agency, you understand by learning the definition. When you know the definition, and the definition, you will understand what is the principle. When you figure out agency principle when it comes to the relationship, you can see how it is. So the self, by definition, but consists of words, the restatement of agency are generally this. X is a relationship around from a manifestation of a concept. In other words, you and me and a breed agent, just like a trustee or trustee, and a subject to control a principle. So the principle control the agent. Keep that in mind. So the United States are the principle of every state, then the controlling law control all states. Get it? Principle. United States is the only one that signed the treaty, but all the states are binding. you